ladies and gentlemen, welcome here as we get set to cap off what's been a great weekend here at Darlington Raceway. This is race number 13 of the season. This, included with two other races, will be what determines our 16 drivers to battle for this season's playoffs in the chase for the Hersheys Cup Series Championship. We are here for Throwback Weekend, as a lot of drivers through the field are running throwback schemes to either drivers that were NASCAR drivers back in the past, or schemes that these drivers have had on this channel in the past. And so we'll be documenting as many of them as we can during the course of this race. And a couple of them actually line up on the front row. J Gardner lines up on the pole position there in the number 7. He's running the throwback to the Jimmy Spencer or the Casey Atwood, whichever have you, Sirius satellite radio scheme. And alongside of him, you got Charles Sandfer. He's in the 03, running the throwback to Johnny Benson's number 26 Cheerios car, as he has the Reese's on the front in that Cheerios font. That's kind of a cool throwback scheme. So we've got Jimmy Spencer or Casey Atwood alongside Johnny Benson here on the front row. But both of these drivers are also looking for their first win of the season. So far, we have run 12 races, had 10 different race winners. And so right now, 6 drivers, as you can see down the bottom right, would currently be in via where they're positioned in points. But there's a little bit more of an interesting scenario, which we'll get to in just a moment. But for now, let's go down trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
So as the command's given, Kyle Matthews, with his second win of the year last week at Daytona Road Course, is now the points leader, 9 points in hand over the former points leader J Baskinger. Joseph Srigley currently third in points with John R in fourth, and Levi McIntyre is in fifth. Sixth is Scott Roush, seventh J Cittadino, Jessica Shelton in eighth. Joshua Osborne is currently up in ninth, and Seth Cole completes the top 10. For the rest of our former race winners, 11th is Dylan Young, 18th is Anthony McCrury, and two drivers that are really going to have the spotlight on them here tonight. Former Darlington winner Tim Walsh, a Daytona 500 winner this season, 32nd in points. Right now his win would not count towards a playoff spot. And our winner from Thornton, Dallas McIntosh, had a terrible run last week at Daytona, dropped down to 38th in points. So both Walsh and McIntosh, you can see, are not on our playoff grid right now. They got to get back in the top 30 in the points for their wins to count towards a playoff position. If they don't, that's going to open up the door for one or two drivers to make their way into the playoffs, possibly via their points positioning. Here we go then, getting ready to go green. J Gardner and Charles Sandfer will bring them down here. And the throwback race of the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington is green. Let's roll! Inside line will definitely be the preferred line for passing here tonight. That outside line, not a lot of grip, and of course it gets you closer to getting that famed Darlington stripe as well. As D Shears going to look to the bottom, our front row's been kicked to the outside line. Gardner has Shears to the inside. Sandfer's already fallen back to a battle for fifth. Now Daniel Gilbert, best finish this season, second place to Jessica Shelton back at Memphis. He's now up to second. Michael Norman Motorsports 1-2 at the moment. And then you drop back here to the 2009 Brad Keselowski Talladega first win throwback on the Ford out of Young Motorsports of Cody Smart. Right behind him, you've got Chris Dollerton, the number 83. Dollerton with the Texas Christian University sponsorship, but different looking paint scheme there. This is actually a throwback to when he won the championship in the Oreo Truck Series back in, I think it was season 3. He's now up to third place as Dollerton. There's Keith Batson. Batson with the Matco Tools throwback. I'm trying to remember who exactly that is a throwback to. And I'm not remembering off the top of my head who exactly it was. the car in my head, but I can't remember who it actually was. We'll get to that in a moment. There's Dylan Young. Dylan Young, very first Oreo Truck Series win was in a number 59, sponsored by Team SBR. This is a throwback to that. There's Sandfer back here. Benjamin Miles running a throwback. Oh, we had a trouble on the back straightaway. Smoke and skid marks, but no caution. You guys will be seeing what happened courtesy of the NHRA split cam since it didn't bring out the caution flag. But Benjamin Miles with the Yankees 100 years throwback back to Christian Fittipaldi's scheme. That was back in 2003. Fittipaldi drove the 44 at the time. J.T. Bryant, the number 22. Throwback, of course, to the Carolina Dodge dealers car that Jeff Gordon drove. That'd be a throwback right there with Joshua Osborne. Jeff Burton throwback on the 31 of Dylan Poteet. There's Jessica Shelton, the 02, two-time Darlington winner, but right now getting freight trained on the high side. Jessica Shelton running a throwback here to the number 94. And I have the information here. Louise Smith, who was dubbed the First Lady of NASCAR. Let's throw back to that car. That car was from, I want to say the 1980s. Maybe I'm getting the wrong year here. But it was a Ford Coupe. That I do know. There's a mellow yellow throwback. I don't really know who that'd be a throwback to, but Kyle Matthews running the mellow yellow colors here tonight. Move up here, you find Daniel Voiles in the 26. Voiles, the defending winner of this race, got his first career win at this racetrack last season. Running the 2007 Stars and Stripes throwback that Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove. And I believe that was back in the Coke 600 at Charlotte. Shane Lake, number 55. It's the throwback to the mid-80s number 55 Copenhagen car that Benny Parsons drove. And there is Holly Davis in the number 3, a very unusual colored car. That's actually a throwback to Michael Norman's first Snickers Cup Series ride. And he drove the number 11 FedEx Round Toyota Camry. So that's hence the purple, white, and green on that machine. And that might be it for the throwback schemes. Looks like it is. Now there's Jordan Anderson back here. He's in 40th. As Cody Smart leads the way over Chris Dollerton. That means 2 cars, I think, are out of the race. And actually, no, only 1 car out of the race. That's Levi McIntyre. J Baskinger is 2 laps down. Back-to-back poor performance weeks for him. He had a bad run last week at Daytona, the road course, and that's what lost him the points lead. And now, 2 laps down in 41st place. You got to think that this has got something to do with the incident that took place in the back straightaway. And Levi McIntyre, who came into this race 5th in the point standings, had a great run last week at Daytona as well. Former winner this season from Phoenix, not going to be finishing out this race. It's a little bump in the road for the 99 team, although the odds of them missing out in the playoffs right now look pretty slim to none. They're running really high in the point standings, and they've got 2 more races to bounce back from this DNF. But look up here at the front at who we've got in 1st and 2nd, and you can even go back and look as far as 3rd and 4th place. Cody Smart looking for his first career Hersheys Cup Series victory. He was a 3-time winner back in Season 4 when we had the non-charter system going on, but he never picked up a chartered win. And we already know that 2 of the Young Motorsports drivers are currently in playoff positions. Dylan Young with his win at Springfield, and of course McIntyre, we just alluded to, his win back at Phoenix. Then you've got Chris Dollerton running there in second place. Dollerton had a pretty good performance last week at Daytona. He jumped up to 34th in points, but he's looking for what would be, I believe, his first career Hersheys Cup Series victory. And he's already had a teammate go to victory lane this season at Daytona at the start of the year, T Walch. And then you go back behind them. There's Kyle Keith now up there. He's in the third position. Kyle Keith last year was a very consistent driver. Never was able to get a win, though, and he's 12th in the points coming into this race. So he's had another good, consistent year. He's just trying to find his way into the playoffs through consistency, but I'm certain he wouldn't turn his nose up at a victory. Keith would not be looking for his first career win, though, as Kyle Keith was a former winner, I believe it was back in Season 1 in the Hersheys Cup Series. Now, we went through all the paint schemes and everything, so I never really got the opportunity to be able to tell about the former winners at this track. Darlington's been on the schedule ever since Season 1, and we've been here every year since then. The inaugural winner of this race was Kian Eddington, who, if memory serves me correctly, was driving the 33 car that year. Jessica Shelton is the only two-time winner here at Darlington. It's her home track as well, winning here in Season 2 and Season 4. T Walch, who needs a good run this week to get back into the top 30 in points, right now running in 9th. And he won this event back in Season 3. Sean Gallighan, I remember him winning here in Season 5 when he had the Hot Wheels throwback on his number 44. He's up right now in the 8th position, just took 8th from T Walch. And we also mentioned Daniel Voiles got his very first career victory in the Hersheys Cup Series here at Darlington last season. But Cody Smart continuing to show the way. The thing that's going to be interesting here is it's 56 laps. We ran 37 laps in last night's Pizza Deck Series race, and they couldn't make it the scheduled distance without having to come to pit road. They all had to pit somewhere between laps 32 to 35. So we may end up seeing green flag pit stops in this race, as so far we have run green, not clean and green. We had an incident on the back straightaway that didn't bring out a caution. And we just had a change for second. Kyle Keith just got around Chris Dollerton. But pit strategy could definitely come into play here, and it'll be interesting to see when they do come to pit road. As Kyle Keith, boy, he's a man on a mission. He ran down the top two. He's got a fast race car, no doubt about that. He was almost about 4 seconds back, and he reeled in the top two by himself. Made very quick work of Chris Dollerton, and now has to figure out how he's going to make his way around Cody Smart as they're starting to close in on the slower machine of Jordan Anderson. I'm trying to remember where Kyle Keith's previous win came at back in Season 1. Pretty sure he was a winner in Season 1. Maybe it was Season 2, but I know he was a former winner. Actually, it might have been Season 2, because I think Season 1, Noah Cars was in the 42. Kyle Keith's win, I know, was in the 42 car, so actually it might have been in Season 2. As now Cody Smart's going to have to deal with Jordan Anderson, and now Keith going to have to wait and see what the 12 car is going to do. Yup, Kyle Keith, his win was Season 2, and it was at Pocono. He ended up finishing out that year in 37th in points, as I think he was a non-charter driver that season. Let's go back and look in Season 4 in the non-charter series where those 3 wins that Cody Smart had, where did they happen at? He won the road course of Infineon, he won the super speedway race at Talladega, and he finished out the year winning the season finale at Auto Club. So really no tracks similar to Darlington. But But Smart got the lead, and he hasn't really looked back, although he might want to look back right now because his deck lid is completely filled with the Target logo of Kyle Keith. Chris Dollerton right there in third, and thought he was going to get around Jordan Anderson, not able to do so just yet. Now, we mentioned where Kyle Keith comes into this race, 13th in the point standings. Cody Smart, or I'm sorry, no, Keith is 12th in points. Cody Smart is 13th in the standings. You can actually see down the bottom right that right now Cody Smart would be in the playoffs via points with where he is positioned in the standings, and the fact that Tim Walsh and Dallas McIntosh both came into this race outside the top 30 in points. Same for Keith. Dollerton, on the other hand, 34th in the point standings, so he basically needs to win. Let's find out where some of our other drivers that are trying to get in via points right now, where would they currently be running? Like Srigley, Roush, Osborne, Cole, Gardner, Chris Dodd. Let's see where they're all scored right now. There's Gardner, just outside the top 10. Started on the pole and right now scored in 11th. Scott Roush, currently in 16th. Not too far back behind him, Joseph Srigley, currently in 17th. Make that 18th as Batson actually just beat him to the line for that spot. And now Batson's going to start falling back as he got kicked up to the high groove. There's Osborne. Osborne has been on a mission through the point standings. He's won Rookie of the Race for the past 4 weeks. I think he's won Rookie of the Race for every race in the second half of the regular season so far. Now he's scored in 23rd. Oh, there's Emmanuel Hartnett. We didn't actually show him. He's running a Dale Senior throwback, so I apologize. There's two-time winner J Arndt. There's last week's winner Kyle Matthews. There's Seth Cole. He's back in 34th. Not the run he was looking for. Anthony McCrury, who DNF'd last week, running 35th here tonight. Dallas McIntosh trying to get his way into the top 30 in the points. Not going to do it with where he's running, 37th. And Jessica Shelton faded all the way back here to 38th. There might be some damage on the right side of her race car. Two-time winner here at Darlington, not running well right now. And there is Chris Dodd as well. He's got damage on the right side. He's gotten a Darlington stripe, and he's currently in the 39th position. Driver came into this race in the final spot in the playoffs with the way that they currently run. And he is actually the last car on the lead lap, as Kyle Keith did manage to get around Cody Smart as we went through the field there. Looking at those drivers that currently come into this race in playoff spots in the points, Kyle Keith, he's one of those drivers, but right now, he is out in front showing the way. And we're closing in on that point when they will have to make green flag pit stops. Now remember the last night's Pizza Deck Series race. The driver who was running second at the time came to pit road a couple laps before the race leader did. By the time they left pit road, that second place driver was in the lead by over 4 seconds over the driver who was the previous leader. Patrick Curtis short pitted, got fresh rubber, came out, passed Nick Gunther, and gapped him all the way to the finish en route to his first win of the season. So would someone like Cody Smart, like Chris Dollerton, be willing to try something like that? As Kyle Keith currently sets the pace. K Shearer, good run there for the 80. He's now gotten his way up to the 4th position, so 2 of the CJ Racing cars running well here tonight, 3rd and 4th, Dollerton and Shearer. I wouldn't count out this guy either, Sean Gallighan. Best finish of the season was, of course, his second place at Atlanta to teammate Anthony McCrury, as Anderson's going to hit pit road. And it doesn't look like any of our leaders hit pit lane. Young Motorsports has 3 of their cars up in the top 7 right now, with Smart in 2nd, Young currently in 6th, JT Bryant right there in 7th. Their other entry is behind the wall, Levi McIntyre out of the race. 42nd is where he'll finish out the night. And Kyle Keith's going to set the pace to pit road, set the tone, as he's going to hit pit lane here on lap 33. Smart is in as well. Dollerton's going to risk it and stay out an extra lap. So he'll get himself at least a lap-led bonus point with this, but we'll have to see if he's going to lose some track position as a result. He was third when the cycle of pit stops began. Also staying out was the 2 of Dylan Young, the 22 of J Bryant, 18 of Cole Baker, Dougie Shears, Scott Roush, Daniel Voiles, James McCloud, Charles Sandfer, and Joseph Srigley all deciding to stay out. Let's see if they come to pit road this lap. And here they come. Dollerton is in. Roush is going to stay out another lap, as is Voiles and McCloud. So we've got a lot of varying strategies right now. Roush is going to lead that lap, so he'll get a bonus point. Now Voiles, I mean, he won this race 1 year ago, so he might have a strategy here similar to what he had last season. We'll see. He just made a pass here by Scott Roush. That could be a very important pass for position now, as he's going to hit pit road. Roush is on pit road as well. Chris Dodd, I think, is off the lead lap, and there is Kyle Keith going around. He just got his lap back. Now he's got to come around one more time to take the race lead away from Daniel Voiles. I don't know if Voiles has a pit stall before or after the start-finish line. If he's able to cross the start-finish line before Keith does, he'll get the bonus point for leading the lap. I think his pit stall is before the start-finish line. And no, McCloud was able to lead that lap on pit road. So McCloud gets the bonus point. So here comes Kyle Keith out of turn 4. We'll see where he cycles around. Is he going to be the race leader? Waiting to see if he's going to get past everyone he needs to in order to cycle back to the top position, and it looks like he very well might. I think a couple of other drivers may have stayed out a little bit longer. Jordan Lopez and Daniel Guilbert. I think they've hit pit road now. And Keith will indeed go back to the top position. Cody Smart, about a second and a half behind him in second. Then you got the lap car of Dallas McIntosh. Actually, you got a few lap cars here. Shelton and Poteet as well before you get to third place. That's K Shearer. Gallighan is now up to fourth, and Dollerton, who stayed out a little bit longer, is now back in a pack of race cars here that are getting held up by the lap machine of J Baskinger. Got Dylan Young, Chris Dollerton in this mix. Ooh, I think someone just got the wall. I don't know if it was Walsh or not. They were all trying to get out of the way as Baskinger was coming to pit lane. So Dollerton's going to cycle to fifth. And I want to look at his right side. No, I guess he's okay. Sixth is Dylan Young now, with Tim Walsh up in seventh. Eighth place now would be J Bryant, J Gardner in ninth, and now 10th place is Joseph Srigley. Or is he? Yes, he is. 11th now, Cole Baker. 12th would be Shane Lake. 13th, Daniel Voiles. Keith Batson in 14th. 15th, Emmanuel Hartnett. 16th is Cody Llamas. Battle for 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th back here, involving Roush, Shears, Osborne, and Miles. And now R Reynolds and Holly Davis, along with Trent Dunham and Zachary Fitzwater, are going to get up into this battle. Fitzwater had actually lost the draft. He had lost the pack. Now he's up here battling in the 24th position, so a nice comeback, at least for the moment, for the driver of the 59. And the gap is decreasing between first and second. Cody Smart is reeling Kyle Keith back in, and Keith's having to deal with traffic. That's Chris Dodd just ahead of him there in the 8, and then up ahead of them, not too far ahead, is the 4 of Daniel Guilbert. Now, Guilbert actually stayed out, I think, the longest of the drivers that made their pit stops, he and Jordan Lopez. And that apparently did not put either of them in good stead, as Guilbert now is in danger, maybe going off the lead lap in a moment. And now Cody Smart is all over the back bumper of Kyle Keith. And if this keeps up, we could very well see K Shearer maybe close the gap up here on the top two. Maybe Sean Gallighan. Gallighan's a former winner here And he would love to complete the sweep, put all three of the Kyotech Motorsports cars in victory lane. McCrury already did it at Atlanta. Cittadino did it at Arizona. We're closing in on 10 laps to go. We'll be there in about 3 more laps. Kyle Keith and Cody Smart, a couple of drivers in the top 15 in the point standings, both looking for their first win of the season. Chris Dodd appears to be somewhat up to speed, so he's able to keep pace and hold off these guys, at least for the moment, though I think the 8 is currently the last car on the lead lap. Yes, he is in 36th place. We've got 5 lap machines right now. McIntosh, boy, after winning at Thornton, he is in big trouble of making it into the top 30 in the standings. Dylan Poteet also a lap down, along with Shelton. Anderson 3 laps down is Baskinger. As you just saw, the race for the lead, and it was over quickly. Cody Smart got by Kyle Keith. But I'm also looking on the top left of our screen, and Kev Shearer and Sean Gallighan are very quickly closing up the gap between themselves and the top 2. Smart's going to move Chris Dodd out of the way now. Feeling it is go time. The lap machine of Dallas McIntosh had actually reeled these guys in. And Smart was able to get around Chris Dodd a lot better than Kyle Keith was. Now Keith has to deal with Dallas McIntosh before he can maybe get up there and challenge once again for the race lead against Cody Smart. Smart's definitely got a much better short run car, but we saw Kyle Keith able to get by Cody Smart on the long run when we got close to the pit stops here. And Keith now is losing more valuable positions. He just got bypassed by the lap machines of Dallas McIntosh and Chris Dodd. Don't look now. Here comes Kev Shearer and Sean Gallighan. They're going to have some traffic to cut through, though, before they can maybe get up there and battle with Cody Smart. So far, Young Motorsports has 2 wins this season. Smart trying to be the 3rd, and he's looking for what would be his first career Hersheys Cup Series charter victory. This is going to be a 3-way battle for 2nd as Shearer and Gallighan close in on Kyle Keith. Shearer comes into this race 17th in points, so if he could leave with a good run, he could be up inside the playoffs via points heading into Watkins Glen. Gallighan, on the other hand, is 37th in points, so I don't know if he's got enough time to get his way up into playoff contention or not. Battle for 2nd, over quickly. Shearer going to take the spot. Gallighan moves to 3rd. Now this will be interesting. Chris Dodd is a teammate to the 80. Will he be willing to move out of the way? And Kyle Keith's car has gone away. He just let lap car by him and Dylan Poteet. So the 29 is not currently the same kind of race car he was before. Kev Shearer going to go to the inside, and Chris Dodd's not going to put up a fight. He'll let his teammate get past. Gallighan going to follow in line. So now we got to watch the interval from 1st back to 2nd. We've still got another lap machine in Dallas McIntosh between 1st and 2nd. But only 2.3 seconds separation from the 12 back to the 80, who has the 44 behind him, so those two going to produce a little bit faster straightaway speed. Let's see if the gap increased or decreased. It actually increased by about a 1/10, but that might have been because they had to take some time getting around Chris Dodd. But I don't know if they can, in 6.5 laps, close up the gap enough to be able to get up to Cody Smart. Smart, on the other hand, is about to catch Daniel Guilbert, who right now is the last car on the lead lap. So that might slow down his lap times and might help Kev Shearer and Sean Gallighan. We're going to have to wait and see. That time by another 1/10 increased on the interval between the 12 and the 80. So right now Cody Smart might be getting a little bit of draft off the back bumper of the 4. And Smart's going to go to the inside, heading here into 3. Not going to be able to make the move on Daniel Guilbert. You saw him have to back out of the throttle to avoid running over the Outback Camaro. Cody Smart's just got to be smart right now. That's all he's got to do, because right at this point in time, I think he's got this race pretty well in hand as long as he doesn't throw it away. He wants to get by Daniel Guilbert because he wants to put another machine between himself and 2nd place. But right now, Kev Shearer and Sean Gallighan having to deal with Dallas McIntosh. They've cleared him. Now, do they have enough time to run down Cody Smart? It's going to be 4 laps to go as we hit the line. There's still plenty of time, and Smart's having to deal with Daniel Guilbert. They closed the gap up by about a 10th. Now the urgency is definitely on the 12 trying to get by the 4. We've got some more cars up ahead as well. I don't know if they'll catch him or not. You saw right there how the 12 had to get onto the brakes pretty hard, as the 4 has a different braking zone than he does. 3 laps to go. How much of a decrease in the time was it between the 12 and the 80? Only a 10th. That's not going to cut it. They had to close in a lot more than that. They need the 12 to make a mistake. With 2.5 laps to go, Cody Smart just has to basically hit his marks. I don't know if he necessarily now has to pass the 4, because K Shearer and S Gallighan didn't make up nearly as much ground as I thought they would have. Hitting the line with 2 laps to go. Smart's now going to get to the inside of Daniel Guilbert. So right there, that might be the move that's going to get Cody Smart this victory. Putting another somewhat up to speed lap machine between himself and K Shearer. Got the tail end of the field just up ahead, but I don't think he's going to catch them in a little over a lap. Out of turn 4, Cody Smart will see the white flag. He's running a paint scheme back to Brad Keselowski's first Monster Energy Cup Series win at Talladega in 2009. Could that scheme be the scheme that's going to get Cody Smart his first career Hersheys Cup Series win here in Season 7? And not only that, but put him in his first ever playoffs position in Hersheys Cup Series competition. Looks like that'll be the case. Out of turn 4, the Bojangles Southern 500 winner. First career win, Cody Smart goes to victory lane at Darlington. How about that? It's undoubtedly been his best season, most consistent season. Amazingly enough, he is 14th or 13th in the points coming to this race, and this was only his second top 5 finish of the year, and only his third top 10. So that just shows you that even though he may not have necessarily finished top 5, top 10 every single week, he's at least finished high enough outside the top 10 that he's been able to be up there in the point standings. And now, Cody Smart, our 11th different winner on the season, with that victory very well maybe making his very first appearance, his debut into the Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. He's the 3rd Young Motorsports Ford to go to victory lane this season, leaving J Bryant as the last driver to complete the sweep for the team. And the standings are official. I mean, we saw last year Daniel Voiles get his first career win here at Darlington, and now Cody Smart follows up with his first career win at the Lady in Black. How about that? What a great run for Cody Smart. 3-time winner in the non-charter series. Finally a winner here in a chartered race. K Shearer is going to finish the day out in 2nd place, so this might put him up in a battle for a playoff spot via points right now. S Gallighan, former winner here, is going to bring it home in 3rd. Kyle Keith, his car fell off after the pit stop. Whatever adjustment they made, it did not agree with him. He finishes in 4th, though, so he'll keep himself in playoff contention. J Bryant going to bring it home in a solid outing of 5th place. J Gardner started on the pole. He'll finish the day out in 6th. 7th for C Dollerton, and a well-needed run for T Walch. This will probably, I think, get him back in the top 30 in points, as he'll finish the day out in 8th. Dylan Young finishes in 9th, so 3 of the drivers that finished this race for Young Motorsports finished 1st, 5th, and 9th. Good showing for that team tonight, as J Srigley brings it home in 10th. Rookie of the race, it's not Joshua Osborne this week. It's actually Scott Roush finishing the day out in 11th. K Batson brings it home in 12th. Cole Baker 13th. Jordan Lopez 14th. Daniel Voiles, after his win 1 year ago, gets 15th. The rest of your top 20 were Emmanuel Hartnett, Shane Lake, D Shears, Trent Dunham, and Zachary Fitzwater. A couple notables that we didn't talk about here today. Anthony McCrury has been on a little bit of a skid as of late. He finishes 23rd. 2-time winner, last week's winner actually, Kyle Matthews back in 24th place. J Arndt, also a 2-time winner, back in 28th and a couple of notable drivers that were running well in the point standings, trying to make it into the playoffs via points that finished way down in the running order. You got Seth Cole, 29th. Joshua Osborne, his good streaks continue. They come to a stop as he finished in 31st. And also you look down here at the drivers that finished off the lead lap. Chris Dodd, who came in the final playoff position, 38th here tonight, so he's going to drop in the points. So other drivers that were running really well in the point stands as well. Poor performance there for Jessica Shelton in 39th. This is one of her favorite tracks, but she did not have a good run here this evening. J Baskinger, back-to-back poor performance weeks for him. He'll get 41st, and of course Levi McIntyre out of the race in the 42nd position, a driver that came in this race 5th in the points. And of course Dallas McIntosh too. Boy, this is quite a hole that they've dug themselves into. They finished poorly last week at Daytona, dropped down to 38th in points, and they're going to drop probably down to 40th, 41st in points with another poor run here. Our Thornton race winner doesn't look like at this current point in time he's going to be making it into this season's playoffs unless he has a miracle happen in the upcoming 2 remaining races of the regular season. But that's going to do it here tonight. From Darlington, Cody Smart gets his first career win at the track, Too Tough to Tame at Darlington, and joins the likes of others that may at this point already locked themselves up spots in this season's playoffs. Right now, I would say definitely, obviously, John Arndt, Kyle Matthews are locked in. I would say probably Baskinger, McIntyre, Cittadino, Shelton, Young. I think they might all be okay to be able to make it into the playoffs with the number of races that are remaining. But then again, you never know. We're going to have to wait and see. But thank you all for tuning in tonight's race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We have shown you the results. These are your rookie point standings and your overall point standings heading into next week. Next week, it is road course racing for all 3 of our main series, as the Last of Us Light Series drivers are off until the start of the playoffs. But we've got the Trucks and the Hersheys Cup Series drivers. They're going to be racing at Watkins Glen. The Pizza X Series drivers, they're going to be over on the other side of the globe. They'll be racing in France at Champs-Élysées, but it will be back-to-back road course races for the entirety of next weekend. And then we pack it all up, and all 3 series will determine their playoff grid. The drivers that will make it into the chase for the respective championships at our regular season finale the following week at Hillside. You're not going to want to miss it. We're closing in on the chase. And who is going to make it, we're going to have to wait and see. Till then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the SRA Offline Racing at its Best. We'll see you guys next week for Road Course Racing.